Baldur's Gate 3 has already become one of my favorite RPGs in this past few years. About 80% done with my second playthrough of Act 1 with my Githyanki warrior, and I wanted to bring you all a collection of tips that I've learned along the way. Some of this might seem obvious, but hopefully there's at least one or two things that might help you before you jump into your first playthrough. I've also got timestamps in the description for each one, just in case you'd like to skip ahead. And let's go ahead and get started. First one is the camping system. Most of you are probably familiar with RPGs that offer standard resource pools. In a lot of them, you want to cast a spell or ability, you can on the fly. In RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3 for instance, or Pathfinder Kingmaker, this works differently. You will have access to spell slots which are different from cantrips. Cantrips can be used anytime, but spells will need to be recharged after a short rest or a long rest. A short rest can be initiated out in the wilderness or even when danger is around. This doesn't restore all of your party's resources, but it does allow you to restore some health. A long rest is what you would do at camp. This makes you sleep and is highly recommended if you're about to go into a very deadly encounter. Keep in mind that long rests might also trigger different scenarios around your camp, but nothing too severe will happen for doing too many long rests as I had initially assumed. You can do them as much as you'd like when a tough fight is about to happen so that you can conserve your health potions and scrolls. If you hold down Alt on your keyboard, just like in Divinity Original Sin 2, you can highlight items on the ground. This will be extremely useful in making sure you don't miss any loot or can pick up on secrets around you. In terms of NPC vision, this will automatically show when you go into sneak mode. It's important that you see this so that you can know how likely you are to be detected. This will also tie into the crime system of Baldur's Gate 3, and is something we'll also touch on a bit later. Just like in Original Sin 2, you will find what are known as waypoints scattered around the map in Baldur's Gate 3. These will allow you to fast travel with your party members to this designated location and can be very useful if you want to skip combat encounters. Let's say you are on your way to the Underdark and want to bypass this giant spider encounter. If you can get one of your members to the waypoint, you can then use the rest of your party to travel there manually, which should make your life in Baldur's Gate a whole lot easier. One thing that also helps with doing this is using the Imp Familiar that you can summon. He has the ability to go invisible and fly. When I started utilizing him more on my Warlock, scouting areas around the map ended up becoming a whole lot easier. One thing that really helps with detecting hidden secrets around the world are skill checks. You'll probably notice from time to time that an icon will appear above your head and execute a skill check. It could be something as simple as identifying a religious statue, or something nature related in your surroundings, or even finding a secret latch or hidden chest. The first important thing to know about this is that even if your character can't complete the skill check, whether it be perception, religion, or nature, other characters in your party can come over and try their hand at the exact same skill check to see if it completes. If you always have your party with you, then most likely this will happen by default. But one thing they don't immediately tell you is that your familiar can try their hands at skill checks as well. On my Warlock, I found that a lot of the perception skill checks my character wasn't able to do, my Imp was able to succeed at. Because of this, I can highly recommend keeping one or being ready to grab one at all times. Hotbar management is another one to be mindful of. Luckily in this game, you can manage your hotbar settings via the options. Things can get pretty messy if you have scrolls, potions, and usable items going onto your hotbar by default, but we are given the option to turn these off. In the future, this would work perfectly in addition to being able to bind keys to these lower bars, like Shift 1 through 10 or Alt 1 through 10 for example. For now though, I would definitely make use of this so you know exactly where your abilities are. You can also rotate between the action bars if you'd like to keep another set of skills or usable items away from the rest. Early on, you will find that there are items or spells you can find that provide you with special interactions. For example, when you first start Act 1 and start traversing up the hill from the beach line, one of the first things you might encounter are the overgrown ruins. And deep inside the crypt, you will find a necklace that allows you to speak with the dead. This can be very useful because sometimes there will be battles that take place before you even arrive. Speaking with the dead can lead you to finding out more about the situation, including uncovering some hidden secrets. Keep in mind though that you can only ask the dead 5 questions in total, so be sure to pick wisely. In addition to this, you can also find scrolls for or learn the spell of talking to animals. This can give you crucial information about the situation to ensure you make an educated decision. A great example of this is when you first come across the owlbear. The situation becomes much more clear when you have this spell cast on yourself. In these type of games, I'm really big on preparation before a fight. Just like in other ones, if you wanted to in Baldur's Gate, you are completely free to buff yourself and your party before an encounter. Along with that, you can also summon familiars, set up different interactions around the battlefield such as traps of your own, or mental notes of the ones NPCs place that you want to turn against them. If you ever reach an encounter that you cannot overcome, sometimes employing a method as simple as this can be the difference between success or failure. A few tips on spells you could easily apply beforehand would be the Mage Armor that lasts until your next long rest, Mirror Image if you have it for your casters or a Blur, the Rally ability from fighters that will shield your players from a certain amount of damage, and even Hellish Rebuke to allow a counterattack to happen if it's triggered. In Baldur's Gate 3, you will encounter many different box and chest-based containers around the world. Lockpicking or breaking into them can be fun of course, but what if I told you there was more that you could do with them? Let's say you run out of thief tools to lockpick into a chest. Not only would you be able to pick it up and place it elsewhere, but you can also take it with you and lockpick into it later. With boxes alone, you can also create a staircase out of them to reach entirely new heights around the map. And also you can start dumping items into chests for organization or temporary storage to come back later. Barrels and other environmental objects are also making a return in Baldur's Gate 3 from Original Sin. This means that you will find opportunities to combine the elements to your advantage in the game world. This includes electrocuting water, setting fire to a puddle to create a steam cloud, and more notably, doing something like dipping your arrows in fire and then setting an explosive barrel ablaze. In relation to Divinity OS 2, you can even take the barrels with you on your journey if you would like to. You'll find multiple different oil, explosive, and even water barrels scattered throughout the lands. You can take out entire boss fights with the well-placed explosive, or even turn a seemingly difficult fight into the 4th of July. An example of this would be when you start to interact with the Tiefling refugees. If you side with the goblins but don't take out the druids beforehand, you might find yourself in a difficult fight with them at some point in the scenario. However, if you place oil or explosive barrels around the grove before the fight takes place, this allows you to set up your own combat advantages over the enemy. And you might even change a fight that was supposed to take you 10 minutes and squish it down to 30 seconds instead. The thievery and crime system is also more expansive in Baldur's Gate 3. This time around you'll find NPCs interacting with you in a different way than Original Sin 2. If a crime is committed, NPCs can start investigating. You might end up getting recognized by other people, or the guards could try to find or attack you. Alongside this, reputation will also play a part. NPCs can catch you vandalizing, stealing, or killing innocent people, but not all of them will react the same way. Depending on who you are, some might call the guards, some will run away, some might attack you, and some might not even care. It all depends on the situation, but when it comes to pickpocketing, it can help you quite a bit to do it in turn-based mode to give you enough time to complete the action. Just like in Original Sin 2, you can also accomplish this by having one character talk to an NPC and have another stand behind them and pickpocket. You'll notice that you have to do a roll for the chance of success, but doing it this way at least ensures you won't get spotted before you're done. This kind of tactic could also be used if you need to direct the enemy attention away while you sneak behind them to pick something up of value off the ground. Another thing you may already be aware of is the game does feature a destructible environment, alongside being one that you can traverse in different ways. As we talked about before, you'll come across different skill checks that will allow you to detect hidden secrets, and sometimes you'll find objects you can bypass such as a breachable wall or a loose rock foundation that you can trigger. Not only can these open up a new pathway to progress, but also help you a lot in combat situations. Destroying enemy walkways and pushing your enemies off a cliff are really big ways you can dominate a battlefield. If you want to bypass standing guards or find a different way to attack a fortress, or you can even drop enemies into pits below, or cast abilities like Featherfall and jump into them yourself. A couple other quick things you can do: you could strip skeletons of weapons before they reanimate, or douse the lights if you have night vision to become harder to detect, or even apply effects to your weapons like dipping in fire or using bottles of poison. One last thing I wanted to mention about turn-based mode: if you initiate combat with your main character, either by sneak attacking or engaging directly, but you have other characters standing farther away or sneaking, they won't immediately be pulled into the combat scenario. This allows you to set up even more sneak attacks or better ambushes while you hold both your character and the NPC character's turns hostage. Since the game runs on their revamped engine that was used in Divinity Original Sin 2, you'll find many more possibilities than before. And last but not least, Larian Studios wanted to make sure that the death system in this game played a big part as well. When a character is taking critical damage, they will indeed fall unconscious, but that won't mean immediate death for them. What happens here is a sequence of time before they fully die, and this can be influenced by their own saving rules to get back up, or even the enemy attacking them to make them fully extinguish faster. It'll be your job as a player to make sure that doesn't happen. Players that are currently going down can provide a distraction for the enemy's attacks, or even damage over time to what's around them, like for Gale. They've also given us access to Death Resurrection scrolls, but we don't seem to be able to craft them, and finding them might be harder than before. They do give us an undead NPC who can revive our characters for a price though, so don't forget to make use of him after you travel to the crypt, especially if you have at least 2 or 3 party members dead, but your last one can escape and waypoint back to camp. And that's all I've got for you folks. Hopefully at least a few of these tips will help you on your journey. Thanks so much for watching, and farewell.